What is going on, guys? Carter here with Edged Mindset. We're talking about Remette Knives today. We're going through my entire Remette Knives collection. Now, luckily for you and my voice, I don't have that many. This is it. These are all my Remette knives. But I was kind of going through my collection today, looking at different things, maybe some knives that I don't talk about as much. And I realized how much I like these. With this one kind of being the only somewhat on the fence one, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. I've done videos on all of these knives, dedicated videos, except for this one, and there's a reason for it, and we're going to talk about it. But before we begin, Remette. They kind of came out of, I don't want to say nowhere, but they kind of popped out and started making some cool knives, a lot of which are in the kind of budget arena. But then they came out with this bad boy and wanted to compete in the gravity knife sector. And they've done a really good job. And I don't think I've given them quite enough credit, maybe, possibly. So that's what the point of this video is. Let's shed some light on Remette. If you're looking for budget knives, I think these might be an excellent choice. So both of these knives are under 50 bucks. In fact, I think they're both under $30. Now, I'm not an expert in the budget knife world. I'm planning on diving into it a little bit more in the future, quite a bit more into the future. So everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. I'm somewhat limited on what I'm comparing it to, but I also think that's kind of good because I am primarily comparing these knives to more expensive ones like this Wee Solid here, or this crazy Knock Knives, or even Wild Medford knives. I'm looking at these through the lens of kind of more expensive knives. So that might be good, right? Because I'm not comparing these to other budget knives. I'm kind of comparing them to kind of more expensive ones. So if I'm impressed with these, maybe there's something to it. So yeah, let's start with it. Handfield. This is the Remette Handfeel. It is in 9CR 18 steel. The thing that strikes me about this particular knife, two things that strike me about this particular knife, three things that strike me about this particular knife. One is the size. It's really just an excellent size. You get a 4-finger grip on this thing. Let's move that out of the way. Here it is compared to a Paramilitary 2 in case you wanted to get a size comparison. So very close. Just a little bit smaller than that Para 2, which to me, this has always been one of my top recommended knives for people that say, hey, I need a good quality carry EDC knife. I send them that way. And with the Paramilitary 3 being on the scene too, it's even better because if you want something smaller, you can get that. But that's not the point of this video. We're talking about Remette knives. So very good size. The blade stock is perfect. The tip is perfect. It is a nice high flat grind. It's nice and slicey. I love the dual deployment methods that this thing offers. The action on this is perfect. It's dialed in so well. Reverse flick, thumb flick, and obviously you can use the flipper tab right there. Now I know some people don't like dual deployment, right? They're kind of more of a purist. They're saying decide what you want to do. If you want to be a flipper, be the best flipper. If you want to be thumb stud, be the best thumb stud deployment. And I can get that point of view, but I know a lot of people like different options, especially if you're more of the fidgety type person. You might appreciate being able to do multiple deployment methods. The only thing this is missing is a front flipper right there. Really well executed, great design, G10, comfortable, deep carry pocket clip, steel liners, rock solid, no shake, no bubble, no slip. Bubble. Why did I say bubble? I don't know why I said bubble. Really good. The only downside to this knife, this is a big downside. I don't think you can get it anymore. I think I actually got this with the Swordfish. They threw it in along with the Swordfish. That just barely, I was about to say I don't even remember where exactly I got this knife. And then I was like, wait a minute. I think it came with my Swordfish when I ordered that. They threw this in. And it came in an unmarked box. I had to do some sleuthing. I had to do some Sherlock Holmesing in order to even find the name of this knife because it's not listed anywhere. You have Remette, and then you have the blade steel, and that's it. It's been out for a while, since like last year, but I don't think it's available anymore, which is a shame because I think it's a winner, especially with this nice drop point, high, flat grind, slicey blade. Slicey is a relative term. Some people may say this isn't nearly slicey enough, but for what I usually get, this thing is a laser. Really fun to carry. Next up, we've got the Rhino, and I absolutely love the Rhino. I think it's really cool. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Microtech in some of their design language. And really what I would say with the Rhino is it's similar to the Handfeel except beefier. You can see how it's thicker in the handle, it's thicker in the blade stock. I mean, it lives up to its name. This is more of a hard use version of Remette's offerings. Not as thin behind the edge. It's not a full flat grind. It is a flat grind, but it's about, 3/4 up the blade there. Really stout tip. Similar to the Handfield, though, dual action. Now, this one's detent isn't quite as snappy, which means it's a little easier to use, right? You saw on this one where I actually tried to do a reverse flick, and I slipped off because the detent is much stronger on the Handfield than it is on the Rhino. Now, that being said, this is not a light detent at all. It's still a very nice, snappy detent, just not quite as much as the Handfield there. And the PBD with the stonewash looks really, really good. Overall, just an excellent, excellent knife. Deep carry pocket clip, which I've said this before, not really my jam. I know it's very common now, especially on budget knives. I don't really care for the deep carry, but that's just me. I know a lot of people do. Steel liner locks. You've got a post for the lanyard right there. Really cool knife overall. I actually really, really like it. Really like both of these. This stone washing over the PVD is like, it's a necessity. I absolutely hate shiny black blade finishes that look like paint. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Lastly, we have the Swordfish. Now, I do have a full video on this knife. I was a little bit disappointed. This is an older version without the pocket clip and just the standard G10 right here. Let me get these out of the way. This one wasn't quite as good as I hoped it would be. However, I did take it apart. I cleaned it up, and the action has improved. So that was one of my biggest complaints on this knife, as I failed to deploy it all the way, was the action was a little bit rough on this thing. It has gotten a little better, still not as good as I would like. I don't think titanium on the handle is the best choice for a gravity knife like this. It's just not good to run steel on titanium. It's going to be sticky, it's going to catch, it's just not going to be the best thing ever. However, it's still pretty cool, and this mechanism right here is just awesome. As far as I know, this is the only knife to kind of use these spreading jaws here on a gravity knife. Obviously you have the Remette Exo knife that is also a gravity knife with titanium handles, but it uses a completely different mechanism for releasing that blade. This one's a little bit more premium, right? M390, it's going to cost you a little bit more. I think these come in just under $300, but you've got the full titanium handle with the cool milling pattern here. Carbon fiber inlays. The newest version has a couple different types of inlays you can get. Very useful blade shape. Interesting that they did not go with a double edge, considering it's an OTF. On one hand, this is more utilitarian. You get a wider bevel. It's going to cut better. You can put your thumb on it, really push through material. On the other hand, one of the best things about an OTF is you can have it sharp on both sides, and you don't have to worry about cutting yourself when you're putting the blade away. So kind of a give or take there. One of the biggest critiques is this hole right here, which serves no purpose. And just lightens the blade, which you think would be good, but for a gravity knife where you actually need the weight of the blade to close and open it, I would prefer to keep the blade as heavy as reasonably possible, even if it adds weight to the overall knife. But yeah, so that is my Remette collection. Very small, but I don't think I spend enough time appreciating these particular knives. I think they're quite handsome looking. They've got great lines. Well thought out. So if you're on the fence about picking up anything Remette, at least these three examples are solid choices, and I would like to think that the rest of them are probably not too far off either. All right, guys, I'm out. Thank you for liking, subscribing, watching, all that fun stuff. I really appreciate you. Couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't want to do it without you. Take care. I'm out.